The clairvoyance of being press is limited, and so we rely on press releases. There's not that many emails to talk about today. Most of the email stuff I'll be dealing with is getting review codes for games, so expect more reviews to be coming up. There's probably going to be a big rush for reviews over the next few weeks. So going straight on to the releases released through Games Press. As for major releases, there's not that many out at the moment. It's getting to the point where there's a lot of releases talking about EGX Res and things that are happening at people who are going to be at EGX Res and what's going to EGX Res. There was one interesting one of Invest VR has purchased VRFocus.com, which is a VR press website, but that's just the standard company buys company sort of news. It was quite interesting because it's a London-based group, and VR Focus was created by Endreams Limited. You may have heard of Endreams Limited the same way I did, and that's through PS Home, which is kind of where we started. It's just a PlayStation Second Life, really. So quick mention to that, but it's just company by company news. There's one interesting point involving education, where Kingston University has invested £53,000 to create a centre for augmented and virtual reality environments, more familiarly known as The Cave. It's basically Kingston University has spent a big amount of money to have a VR AR section, a big technology area. As for a quote, we have Professor Vensera Burek or Terek, I've probably announced that wrong, saying, having games programming students working with design students on various aspects of a project is exactly how the digital media industry works. It's that level of interior disciplinary work and the exchange of views that will broaden horizons of each and every one and help make sure that they are industry ready. That is the one core thing that I've always seen in degrees, and even the degrees that I've been part of, is where the big part of it is making sure that the people are able to go into their specialized industry and to go into their area of expertise, being able to hit the ground running, to just be able to use the programs, use the technology, especially in the creative industries. The release also goes on to say that the professor agreed that the virtual reality and augmented reality extended beyond games, a prime example of which is a 2-year PhD project at the university being led by Associate Professor Vasileios Ogreu, again probably announcing that one wrong, that is using virtual reality devices to test the cognitive ability of patients with early onset Alzheimer's. There's also plans for students from across the university, such those on art, design and animation courses, to collaborate with the computer science students so that they can utilize virtual reality in their work. Basically, that entire last bit was motion capture. Obviously, it's using AR and VR tech for things like animation. It's used in many games. Just look towards the Uncharted series, which famously used a lot of it. But perhaps there can be a turn towards the Final Fantasy Spirits Within. I still like that movie, although I grew up with computer graphics and CGI, and so I'm not that off-put by the computer graphics of the whole thing. I thought it was fine, but yeah, I unironically, I like the mainframe entertainment animations. And as for a quick release, the game creators today released the Sounds Library for App Game Kit. The DLC adds yet another dimension to the already successful development engine. Basically, the Game Creators is a company that released the App Game Kit, which is a game creation program. Think towards things like RPG Maker. As it says here, Rick Vanna, development director at the Game Creators, said, "This sounds library is packed with high-quality, royalty-free sound supplied in WAV file format in both stereo and mono formats. From clashing swords with RPG adventures to laser blast for sci-fi games, there's hundreds of sounds for you to tap into that will really give your game a boost. I am always one for a good sound library. We, for one, use YouTube's music library a lot. You should always check our description. We use a fair amount of sound and music that is either Creative Commons or part of YouTube's audio library. So having an expansion to a game program that helps new developers as well as more experienced developers create app games is always good." And this is another quick release saying that the Last Pixel store has opened. It's a store that sells pixel-related things, t-shirts and posters and usual stuff, really. I always quite like the pixel art things. I always am one of the people who looks fondly back at the old art styles, so yeah, just a quick mention to them, I suppose. And here is a release that fascinates me, and the retro game aficionados and the Beatty Croshaw aficionados will probably recognise a few names in this one, and it's that a exhibition at the National Videogame Arcade in Nottingham has a special event dedicated to the Dizzy games. For those that don't know, the Dizzy games were originally released 30 years ago by the Oliver twins, Philip and Andrew Oliver, across a lot of the old ones. This is where the Yardley Croshaw connection comes in. He fondly spent quite a lot of time talking about the Dizzy 2 on the Amiga. But we have a bit of connection with them because the Oliver twins now head Radiant Worlds, and you may have heard of us talk about Radiant Worlds because they are the ones developing Sky Saga, which we stream on Sundays at 10 PM. You should watch our streams. As they say here, opening on 8th of April, Dizzy Excellent Exhibit. They do love their puns. Allows visitors to the NVA to explore how Dizzy games were created as the Oliver twins open up their archives to the NVA, take a step back and drink in the original hand-drawn paper maps that show how the details came together to make the fantasy world of Zakaria, immerse themselves in a recreation of the Oliver twins studio where they coded the Dizzy games on their actual Amstrad CPC, and you get to play the Dizzy games on the original stuff, so you will get to play the Yahtzee's often talked about Amiga version. As a quote from the brothers, they said, "We are delighted that the National Videogame Arcade has chosen to honour Dizzy with his very own room in the museum to celebrate his 30th anniversary." Even as I said before in the previous story, I'm one that looks back fondly at the old days of gaming, the one who looks back on the retro consoles and the retro games especially as something interesting, and the Oliver twins is a sort of development duo that has even gone round to now. As I said before, the brothers have a hand in Radiant Worlds, which develops Sky Saga, which we stream, which you should watch at streams. So if you're interested in going, it's going to be at the National Video Game Arcade in Nottingham from April 8th. And from there, as it is the beginning of the week, here is the UK all-format weekly charts, again supplied graciously by UKIE Limited. Not that much has really changed. Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon stays at number 1. A couple of people have switched places. LEGO Worlds has climbed to 2nd, which is great. The review came out yesterday. Go look for it on the main site. The review came out yesterday. And here are the games that are going to be released this week. We have Crow's Eyes for PC, Dual Beats for Android and iOS, Mahjong Deluxe 3 for Wii U, Narborian Saga for PC, Troll and I for PC, PS4 and Xbox One, Hollow Bunny's Pause Cafe for Linux, Mac and PC, This is Police for PS4 and Xbox One. The PC version's already out for that. Mass Effect Andromeda for PC, PS4 and Xbox One. Construction Simulator 2 for Android and iOS. Crash of Cars for Android and iOS. Days of Infamy for PC Online. Monster Slayers for PC. Player Unknown's Battlegrounds for PC. Sunless Seas for iOS. Did a video on the PC version. Tiny Bombers for iOS and tvOS. tvOS is Apple's TV operating system box thing. 88 Heroes for PC, PS4 and Xbox One. Dreamfall Chapters for PS4 and Xbox One. Vikings Wolves of Midgard for Mac, PC and PS4 and Xbox One, all online. And Worlds of Magic Planet Conquest for Xbox One Online. That's it for this week. If you found this episode informative, please consider subscribing and sharing. And I will see you on Friday for the next Press Rush.